Hello and welcome to our latest episode of Clarity Presents. Today we've got Tim Page with us, who's a Senior Director at SAP Concur. And we're going to be looking at the balance between personal and business, focusing on expenses. Hi Tim, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Really nice to have you here. So, business travel. Obviously it has an impact on both your home life and personal life. How do expenses play a role in this?
I think historically, automating the expense report process was something that brought benefits for the business and certainly for the finance department, but not so much for the business traveller. I think modern businesses, forward-thinking organisations are really focused on their people. They're thinking about work-life balance and they care about it. They're measuring employee engagement. We recognise now that happy, engaged employees help you grow your business, they stay with you longer. So this stuff's really important. Sadly, the expense report, the humble expense report typically comes up, again and again comes up high on the list of things that people dislike the most about their job. Everyone hates expenses. Not only is it cumbersome and time consuming, but often people are doing it in a rush at the end of the month. They're doing it, and therefore they're doing it in evenings or at the weekends to try and get their money back. Yeah,
I think that of the time that it takes, so it's not, travel obviously takes your time. You might be travelling before your allotted work hours and travelling home at different unsociable hours, but travel has that wider time impact, as you just said, for the expenses, possibly doing it at home on a weekend to get all those things in. So how does using something like SAP Concur and the expense tool there, how does that actually save time and ultimately help regain a balance?
Expenses is far more complicated than many business travellers will realise, because there's a lot of processes that are happening in your finance department to manage that expense report process. Mileage rates, VAT rules, currency exchange. Once your business traveller is travelling abroad, there's a whole load of new rules and regulations in different countries that they're travelling. So this is really hard for finance teams to get all the right information to get it right. Yeah. So the key is really make it easy for the business traveller to do the right thing. Put technology in their hands that allows them to take a photo of a receipt whilst they're on their business trip, and the technology should really extract the key piece of information, fill out their expense report for them. Yeah. Furthermore, your expense management system should really be part of a connected ecosystem, connecting you up to the suppliers that you engage with on that business trip. So whether that's your big ticket items, your flights, your hotels, your car hire, that naturally you're booking through your travel management company, really having those things connected so that information can come straight through, and again start filling out your expense report for you. Mm-hmm. But even things like your corporate card and all that spend, and even your Uber to the train station or to the airport, having all of that content automatically come in and really start compiling your expense report for you and completing it for you means that when you're getting home from your business trip, your kind of expenses is already done.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I use the tool. I think it's absolutely wonderful, and I've done it before, being on the train, taking the photos of my train tickets, logging that expense. I was on a business trip to London last week. In the taxi home, photographed my expense, and it was done. It didn't take me any additional time, and it's sometimes making use of that dead time, so the time when you just sat in a taxi and able to do anything else. I can just get all the expenses done. It's not eating into my work productivity, but nor was it eating into my personal life. So I think that balance there was really, really kind of important. I think looking as well at expenses and the impact that a badly managed expense programme can have on your personal life, is there something in terms of not getting that money back which could be problematic to travellers and possibly make travellers make dangerous or unthought through decisions?
Yeah, good question. I think that the time it takes to get reimbursed in that kind of traditional paper-based process, or even a kind of a finance system, kind of web form, where companies think they may have an automated process. But if it's still taking a month or sometimes even more to get your money back, this can mean that people aren't making informed or smart decisions when they're on trips. Yeah. I've heard cases of employees in extreme cases, may even be walking home, late at night from a client dinner back to the hotel because they don't want to spend 20 or 30 pounds on a taxi because they can't afford, in fact, to wait that month or even more sometimes to get their money back. It's really important as you think about your employees on that business trip that you're empowering them to make informed and safe decisions, and really worrying about the time it takes to get reimbursed should not be a factor. No. It's the minimum. If your employees are going to be essentially bankrolling you while they go on a business trip, as a company, in reimbursing them in a timely fashion is really the minimum bar, I think.
Absolutely.
So that they can make informed decisions.
Yeah, and I think that all feeds into this entire thing of hearts and minds and looking towards a traveller-centric programme.
Yep.
There's been several stats out recently of the amount of money that businesses almost hold for you in expenses until you claim that back.
Yeah.
Beneficial for the business, but actually if your traveller is making unsafe decisions, we do need to move towards that traveller centricity, and obviously this app and this technology can enable that. So what would you say then, obviously that's a clear negative of a badly managed expense programme. What would you say the biggest negative to the traveller is of them having a badly managed expense programme?
Yeah, I mean, I think we touched already the kind of the frustration element behind expenses, doing it in evenings, doing it in your weekends when you should be, it's friends and family time really.
Absolutely.
So it's time consuming, it's cumbersome, it's often done out of hours. And in extreme cases, people aren't even getting their money back, whether that's through losing receipts, forgetting what their business trip was because they're doing it a month later and digging out those receipts in the bottom of the briefcase, missing receipts, or sometimes even, just the process is too difficult. What we do see is that often those small items, whether it's the coffee and the cake before going into your meeting at Starbucks, the £5 here, the £5 there, people are finding that's just too difficult to do. And actually what we see is that can sometimes lead to a reason or justification in people's minds of fraudulent claims in other areas. Well, I didn't claim all of this expenses over here, so my mileage rates can inflate to get my money back. Yeah. That's not compliant for businesses, and it's not right for the business traveller. No. Again, this comes back to kind of making it easy for people to do the right thing. And if you think about the time it's taking your employees to do it, often companies don't think about how that scales up to the impact on the business. If you're a typical SMB business, where most people work, you might have 50 regular business travellers. If they're spending 3 hours per month filling out their expense reports in a month, you're spending 150 hours filling out expense reports. That's an entire full-time equivalent filling out expense reports, adding no value to your business, and equally ending up with frustrated employees. So it's bad for business and it's bad for your people.
Which then brings me on to looking at the biggest positive impact that a well-managed expense programme can have on the business. So what do you think the biggest positive is to actually improve these processes?
Yeah, organisations today are looking to grow, and they're looking to anticipate and avoid risk. Especially in changing economic times, people want to have businesses that are robust and ready for anything. I think that the benefits around productivity, as we talked about, some of those time savings for the business traveller, but they go further right through that finance department as well and across the business. Expenses touch lots of parts of your organisation, from your business traveller to your management or department heads approving expenses, and of course into the finance department where they're spending time, whether it's data entry, it's checking receipts, checking policy compliance, tracking mileage, calculating VAT. All this stuff is hugely time consuming. And we're seeing that the organisations and CFOs and finance directors are really looking to shift, move the finance department away from being a kind of data processor into being a kind of insight-led growth engine for the business. And freeing up that time, can help your business go through that transition. And actually, it helps you move your people up the value chain in that finance department as well. And once you've got all the data onto an automated expense management system, no longer are your people doing all this kind of administrative tasks in finance, but they can be analysing data, analysing trends in spend, and be providing rich management intelligence into your leadership team to be able to make smarter business decisions about your business. Of course, the spend that you can see, you can also control. We're seeing that our customers that move from a paper-based process through to an automated expense process are typically reducing their total T&E spend by around 12%. And that's real money that goes straight on the bottom line of your business. A pound saved on your T&E spend is a pound that can go straight into employing that next employee or investing in that next growth initiative. Finally, I think that the other big area that certainly executives in businesses and finance directors are concerned around is around compliance. Often when HMRC are auditing a business, expenses is the first thing that they'll one of the first things that they'll look at, and they'll use it as a kind of barometer for the financial health of the business.
Right.
So ensuring that your processes are compliant, you've got all the data that you need, you've got the receipts that you need. It just gives you that kind of peace of mind that you can be compliant with the rules and the regulations, so that your business is in good shape and being run properly.
Excellent. So there's clearly a much broader spectrum of benefits that a well-managed expense system
absolutely.
and an automated expense system can have, other than just easing a bit of pressure on the traveller.
Absolutely. It's right across the business. It touches multiple points of the business. It really is a win for the business. And now it's a real, with modern technology and mobile technology, it's a real win for the business traveller as well.
That's excellent, because that's the whole thing here of bringing together the business and the personal, and if we can bring those two together in a cost-effective way for the business and in an experience enhancement way for the traveller, then we're on to a winner. Perfect. Thank you so much for your time, Tim.
It's been a pleasure.
Really enjoyed speaking with you. Thank you. In our next episode, we're going to be speaking with Travel Lodge, looking at the balance between comfort and efficiency. We really hope to see you then.